engineers. Thank you so much for checking out the Home Recording Network. Welcome back for day 7 of this 30-day journey to a better home studio mix, a more professional home studio mix, whatever you want to call it. If you haven't started from day 1, I highly recommend you go back and do that. But today we're going to be talking about kick drum and the areas where you should be boosting and cutting on your kick drum. But in case you missed it, here is the song we're going over in these next 30 days.
These kings and queens, they all fall, they all fall. Headless back into oblivion. Destined unaware, just what will be done. Looking for treason and overtake the throne and sink to the bottom on our own.
All right, so all good mixes for me start with kick drum. As I said in the last video, I start with drums. I don't do the top-down approach. I start with my kick and I move up from there. So it would make sense for me to start there with you guys. All right, with kick, it's actually pretty simple. So everything from about 3K up on a kick drum actually sounds pretty good. These are areas where you want to boost, and also everything from about 60 hertz below, all that real low stuff, sounds pretty pleasing on a kick drum. Of course, you don't want a ton of sub on your kick drum, but those are the areas where I like to boost. And the garbage sounding frequencies on a kick drum are anywhere from 100 hertz up to 300 hertz. Those are the nasty areas, the muddy areas, and the areas we can cut to add more clarity to our kick drum. All right, so first let's just listen to the kick in the mix of the drum. So we'll solo the drum bus here and take a listen. The kit as a whole is sounding great, and the kick drum is just really serving its purpose. So let's get into some of these EQ moves. But first, if you like this video or it helps you out in any way, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because any support is just super helpful to me and allows me to reach more engineers that might need help. Like I showed you in the last video, we have a kick in mic, a kick out, and a kick sample. And these all end up at the kick bus. So all 3 of our kicks end up here, where we have one fader to mess with to control the volume, and also a channel strip to affect all 3 of these kick drums at the same time. First of all, I just want to say that throughout the project, you're going to see that I use the SSL channel for a lot of my EQs, and for the most part, I try to stay away from the visual EQs like this Pro Q2. I do use them, but I try to stick with the SSL channel or a non-visual if I can. And there are so many reasons for this that I'm not going to get into right now, because that's not what this video is about. But I do talk about it in my mix training that I hold a couple times a week. It's in the description. Sign up. It's free and it's super helpful if you want to learn more about that. All right, let's listen to the kick in microphone without this SSL on, and then I'll bring it in. All right, so you might notice there's a lot more snap, crackle, and pop there. It's a lot brighter. It's a better sounding kick drum. It's got more attack. So let's talk about what I would do when I first come to mix a kick drum. So I don't actually do any boosting at first. What I'm concerned about is taking out any of the mud that is hurting my kick drum. And like I said, between 300 and 100 is bad. That's the area that I'm searching for frequencies to take out. So down here, you can see I'm taking out a little bit at 300, not even that much, not even 2 dB. But what you do to find this frequency is you just boost like crazy and sweep around for these ugly sounding frequencies. And we can demonstrate this by cranking this up and sweeping around here. Hear that ugly sound? And now we can just, since we found the frequency, we can just kind of take that down and listen. It sounds like a much cleaner kick sound. Metal kicks are really scooped out. Yeah, so you can just kind of determine how much you want to take out of that bad sounding area. On the SSL, I'm always taking out somewhere between 300 and 200 here. And later, I will actually take out probably more, in between 100 and 300, like I said, but I'll use a different EQ. After I've cleaned up some of the mud from the kick, I will then go and brighten this puppy up. So an 8K shelf is probably my favorite move on a kick drum. So here we're boosting everything above 8K. And like I said, generally everything from 3K up on a kick drum is pretty pleasing. It's really that attack of the kick drum. So here we can boost like crazy to show you that we're really just emphasizing that batter slapping against the skin of the kick. Yeah, it's really just a pleasing sound. And that's where a lot of rock and metal kicks are boosted like crazy to get that slap and attack out of the kick drum. Now, if your kick needs even more attack or you want to make it really punchy, you can usually get away with a boost, anywhere from 3K up. It just depends on what you like. And here we have a little boost at about 5K, just adding a bit more attack. Now, for the low end, I like to boost my kicks somewhere between 50 and 60 hertz. And here we actually didn't do anything. We didn't make any boost, but I can just show you how a boost here would add some low end to your kick drum if you needed it. After I've added some coloration and EQ with the SSL channel, I'll usually do a little bit of compression and then I'll take out a visual EQ and do some more work depending on what the compressor did to the sound. So we're not going to go over the compressor right now that's in between here. We are going to go to the EQ since we're talking about EQ. In this video, I will get to compression later in the month. But here we just have an additional dip out around 200. And again, this is something you can just sweep around to see what doesn't sound pleasing in the kick drum. So if we boost this up, you're going to hear additional mud, which we don't want. And there we go. Taken a little bit out around 200. And again, between 100 and 300 hertz is where I'm looking to cut some of that mud out of my kick drum. Now, if we look at the kick out microphone, we can see it's basically the same moves here. So we have an 8K shelf, little bump around 5K, a dip out around 250 hertz, more of a dip out than in our kick in. And again, we didn't boost any low end here. That's pretty rare for me. So let's just do a before and after of the SSL out and back in on this kick out microphone. Basically the same thing we did on the kick in. We just added some more attack, made it a bit brighter, and then when we blend this in with our kick in, sounds like a decent kick drum. It's great to have both of these microphones because I don't think it would sound great with just one, but blended, these microphones really do balance each other. The kick out provides more thickness, and then the kick in, which is right up against the skin inside of the drum, provides a lot of that attack and slap. Now we can add in our sample and see how our kick is sounding. Yeah, it definitely adds some weight there. So that's what the sample is there for, like I talked about in the last video. It's meant to fill out the sound and just add to the great kick sound that we already have. Now, the great thing about sending all of these to their own kick bus is we can do additional work on the kick drum, which is what I've done here. And I actually have 3 EQ plugins. And they're all serving different purposes, but if we just do a before and after, we can tell that these 3 EQs are doing a lot of work. These 3 EQs are actually just doing more of the same moves that I was doing on the kick in and kick out. It's just that these come later in the mix. So as I get a great kick sound from the beginning and get the rest of the drums mixed in there, when I start adding the bass and guitars and all that, I start noticing, hey, maybe my kick doesn't have enough low end. Maybe it doesn't have enough top or attack to it. And that's when I'll start making moves on the kick bus. The first EQ, the Pultec, actually has just a great color to it. And I'll use it in a lot of different areas in the mix. But what's interesting is you can cut and boost at the same frequency on this EQ, which might sound counterintuitive, but look it up. It's a thing. And what it actually allows for is for me to get a much tighter low end by boosting and cutting at 60 here. We also have a 10K boost here, and below it on the SSL, we're just doing another one of those 8K shelf boosts to brighten up the kick a bit. And below it, we have our last EQ, which is a Pro Q2. And here we're just doing a little dip out around 100, which again is an area that can sound not too pleasing on a kick drum. That's a lot of EQs, but by now you should know the key areas to boost and cut on your kick drums if you're mixing drums at home. So that's it for today. Hope to see you back tomorrow for, what is it, day 8. And we will be talking about the key areas to EQ on your home recorded snare drum. Happy mixing, guys. Hey guys, if you like this video, be sure to download your free Ultimate Home Studio Mix Guide with your go-to EQ and compression settings for all your tracks. And also be sure to register for my free online mix training that I hold a couple times a week so that you can learn how to make radio quality music from your home without breaking the bank.